Good morning, San Francisco. Good morning, everybody. Give yourselves a hand for being out here at 4:45 a.m. It's my first time check of the day. I am Bob Sarlott, and I'm a native San Franciscan. Once again, you hearty, crazy folks have come together at this ungodly hour to remember and honor the memories of those hardy San Franciscans who survived being tossed from their beds 116 years ago this morning at 5:12 or 5:11 or 5:13, depending on which native tells the tale. 116 years ago, powerful seismic waves roared across the prosperous city of San Francisco. Experts today estimate the colossal earthquake was around 7.9 on the modern magnitude scale. By the end of the first day, the city by the bay would suffer 26 aftershocks and would succumb to a raging inferno that would show no mercy to its bewildered citizens for 74 hours. Now, the following here is a brief timeline of the calamitous events the residents of San Francisco faced during those harrowing days. I would like to give you a moment-by-moment description of what happened to our city and its citizens on this morning 116 years ago. Later, I will introduce to you some of your fellow San Franciscans who work every day to make sure we will all be survivors of the inevitable next big one. Wednesday, April 18th, 1906, 5:12 a.m. A great foreshock is felt throughout the San Francisco Bay Area. Some 20 to 25 seconds later, San Francisco residents are awakened by a tremor 45 to 60 seconds long, measuring 7.9 on that modern magnitude scale. The first casualties from the massive quake occur when low-rent tenements in the south of Market District collapse. Hundreds are killed as the liquefied ground swallows their homes. More victims are added to the death toll as collapsed structures immediately catch fire and prevent rescue attempts. Tragically, the man the city would need the most to fight these rampant fires, Fire Chief Dennis T. Sullivan, is fatally wounded during the earthquake. He would die 4 days later, when a spire tower of the California Hotel collapsed onto his fire station home. Now, due to severe earthquake damage, telephone and telegraph communication within the city is impossible. A few messages are sent around the world via the Pacific cable before that line, too, fails. 6 a.m. San Francisco Mayor Eugene Schmitz is unaware of the severity of the quake until anxious city officials arrive at his door. He leaves the safety of his home and heads downtown to see for himself the enormous scale of the disaster. 6:30 a.m. All available troops are ordered to report to the mayor at the Hall of Justice. Some 1,700 soldiers come to the aid of both residents and firefighters. 8:14 a.m., a major aftershock strikes and causes many of the damaged buildings still standing to collapse. Throughout the day, the city suffers 26 aftershocks, each one slowing the already overstretched rescue effort. Fires rage and spread through the city. They are not stopped until 74 hours later. Many of San Francisco's finest buildings collapse under the firestorms. Firefighters begin dynamiting buildings to create fire breaks. It's now the afternoon. It's 1 p.m. that day. The temporary hospital setup outside City Hall is abandoned due to the impending fire break. The sick and injured are forced to evacuate to temporary camps throughout the city and in parks on the edge of town. 3 p.m. Mayor Schmidt appoints the committee of 50, comprising the city's most prominent citizens and businessmen. Hearing reports of looting in the street, the mayor orders a shoot-to-kill proclamation against any looters. The evening now, it's 8 p.m. Hopes of saving downtown are dashed as a new blaze breaks out and shifting winds push the fires toward the heart of the city. 9 p.m. Firefighters make a stand at Union Square on Powell Street, but the fire breaches the battle line and continues relentlessly up Nob Hill. Thursday, April 19th, 1906, 2 a.m. California Governor George Pardee arrives in Oakland to assess the damage. He declares the day a bank holiday. San Francisco's three main newspapers, The Call, The Chronicle, and The Examiner, borrow the presses of an Oakland paper to print a special joint edition. 6 p.m., responding to wireless telegraph message, the USS Chicago arrives in San Francisco Bay to help in the relief efforts. The great fire reached Van Ness Avenue, which is 125 feet wide. Mayor Schmitz finally agrees to let the Army create a massive fire break in the hopes that it can stop the raging inferno. This decision means abandoning dozens of city blocks, many of them filled with mansions, to the fire. The rich spectators who have spent the day watching the fires from atop Nob Hill finally realize their homes won't be saved and will soon burn. Friday, April 20th, 1906, at 5 a.m., the fire break at Van Ness finally holds, and the westward progression of the inferno is halted. Mayor Schmitz makes an announcement proclaiming victory in the battle at Van Ness. 18 seamen from the USS Chicago rescued 20,000 refugees in unprecedented evacuation by sea. Saturday, April 21st, 1906, 7:15 a.m. After all the flames have been extinguished, Mayor Schmitz officially declares the fire over. Sunday, April 22nd, 1906, cable cars begin running on Market Street. And now April 18th, 2022, present day. Today, no one knows when the next great quake will come. But San Francisco is doomed to relive the horrific events of 1906 because the San Andreas Fault never rests. It may strike tomorrow or not for 100 years, but it might just strike as the city sleeps tonight. Oof. All right. Oof. It's kind of scary. It really is. But I'll tell you what. Good morning again, once again, everybody. We gather here today on the 116th anniversary of the Great Earthquake and Fire to remember those who were lost. Every year since the 20s, the hardy San Franciscans who survived the quake would gather at Lotta's Fountain just as we are doing so today. Several years ago, once all of the actual survivors had passed, we pledged to be here to continue this rich tradition. As Carl Nolte summed it up perfectly, San Francisco is the ultimate survivor. Yes, okay, good. I'll get some applause for that. Good, thank you. In just a few moments, we'll hear from some esteemed San Franciscans, including Mayor London Breed, former Mayor Willie Brown, Fire Chief Janine Nicholson, Police Chief Bill Scott, Sheriff Paul Miyamoto, and Deputy Department of Emergency Management Executive Director Mary Ellen Carroll. Now, as you know, COVID kept us from commemorating officially in the last few years. In 2022, we are all caught up with our honorary survivors for the last 3 years. Dave Eberly of Guardians of the City, right here. Give Dave a nice hand. He's a terrific guy that does so much work on this. Lieutenant Jonathan Baxter, Atomic PIO of the San Francisco Fire Department. Yes. And former Fire Chief Joanne Hayes White. She's probably here today, too, is she not? Hope so. All right. Give her a nice hand. Now, besides the 3,000 lives lost in 1906, which is why we gather here each April 18th, we'd like to dedicate today's ceremony to our friend and colleague, Ron Ross. Now, Ron was founder of the San Francisco History Association, who passed away on February 2nd. He was a moving force at continuing the traditions of never forgetting our rich history here in his adopted San Francisco. Although Ron is gone, I can feel his New Yorker's spirit with us on this stage this morning. We are also dedicating today to Charlotte Maillard Schultz, both the City of San Francisco and State of California Chief of Protocol, who passed on December 3rd last year. Charlotte was better known as the Ambassador of San Francisco. Let's give her a hand in absentia here. And she was responsible for putting San Francisco on the map as an international city, as Senator Dianne Feinstein so aptly put. Charlotte, you too are missed, but your spirit lives on during so many great civic events like this one. Lastly, we'd like to acknowledge a little-known group that has helped produce these commemoration events over the past, I don't know how many years, the Guardians of the City. Give the Guardians of the City a nice hand, folks. They are a non-profit organization charged with the preservation of stewardship of all emergency service history, which includes the fire department, the police department, the sheriff's office, and EMS for the city and county of San Francisco. Their trustee, Dave Eberly, once again, has been helping put all this on at Lotta's Fountain gathering over the last 12 years. Yeah, Dave again. I like Dave. Great guy. And plus, we'd be remiss if we forgot to mention the ringleader and PR impresario, the fabulous Lee Housekeeper, who's been doing this even longer. I think he told me 34 years the other day. So long you can't remember when he started. Thank you for decades of maintaining this very important San Francisco tradition. A hand for Lee Housekeeper, everybody. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing?
Bring up Mayor Brown.
Okay. We have a few great celebs locally, great dignitaries. I'd like to bring up the first, one of my favorites. I love introducing him. It's always fun because he always says San Francisco, which I enjoy. He's known as the mayor. From 96 to 2004, he was your personified what a big city mayor was, as far as I'm concerned. 30 years in the Assembly, 15 years as Speaker. Would you please welcome former Mayor, the Honorable Mayor Willie Lewis Brown, Jr. I never forget about you. I never forget about you. You got it? You okay? You can take it off if you want.
I will take it off. I'm not that tall.
All right.
34 years ago, when first a candidate for mayor of this city, roaming around late nights, as I usually do and still do, I ran into this guy, Lee Housekeeper. I really thought that was a phony name or descriptive. However, he said to me, "You're looking for votes." I am. I said, "Yes, I am looking for votes." He said, "If you can put water in a fountain on 3rd, Kearney, and Market, you'll get my vote and my support." Well, first of all, I didn't think he was a voter anyway, but I wanted to amuse him. So I said, "There's no question. Whatever you said about that fountain, it will be fixed." And lo and behold, our own Public Works Department, along with the emergency service people, actually made it work, and it still worked. This is a symbol, literally a symbol of how San Francisco can really recover. And I must tell you that I have been here year in and year out since being elected mayor of this city. No longer mayor of this city, but I've been here all of 34 years. And I will continue to come back as often as I can, because this is really the spirit of the city. And what I love is that some of you this early in the morning would show up to commemorate how the resurrection of this city occurred and how you represent literally the blood linkage to the people who caused this city to come back. When Bob talked about Dennis, the man who would have been able to direct everything during the quake, the then fire chief, Sullivan, it's just amazing how quickly everybody else came together without his great leadership for the purpose of trying to save our city. And save our city did. I'd urge every one of you to read Carl Nolte's column on Sunday. It is a very good one, because for the first time, you now know that San Francisco had some of everybody then, as it does today, making this city what it is. And I'm just delighted that at some point you asked me to be your mayor. You didn't pay me much. But then I may not be worth much. All right. Thank you very much and welcome.
Thanks, Willie. Thank you. It's always an event when Willie's here, isn't it? Fantastic. One more time for Willie Brown, everybody. Come on now. I love this. I get to say this just handed to me. You know who's here today? The grandnephew of Mayor Eugene Schmitz is here today. And he's over left. Is he right here? Here he is. A nice hand for Joe McCoffey right here. Grandnephew of Eugene Schmitz. Wow. I feel like Ed Sullivan for crying out loud, right? Anybody else out there? Anybody? Okay, great. And now it's time for you to introduce someone I've never been able to introduce, which is going to be an honor for me. She's our fire chief. She's hasn't even been in office for that long, but she's really been active in the street crisis response team. She's worked on firefighter safety and disaster preparedness, so she's really well equipped to talk about what we're talking about today. Would you please welcome our fire chief, Janine Nicholson. There you are. Nice to see you.
Thank you kindly, young lad. Greetings and salutations, everyone. So nice to see all of you in your fabulous outfits. I just wear the same old thing every year. But we are resilient, and the San Francisco Fire Department is ready for anything that comes our way, whether it be fires, whether it be medical calls, whether it be earthquakes. We are here for you, and it is just a pleasure to be here to celebrate our 1906 Rising from the Ashes. And if need be, we will do it again because we are resilient San Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Pleasure to meet you here. Oh, gosh, we got lots of dictators. Our next gentleman who's coming up here, 5 years and counting as our chief after 27 years in Los Angeles, selected to lead us after a national search, and I'm personally glad we have him. Would you please welcome our police chief, Bill Scott, everybody? I'm a fan. I got
Thank you. Good to see you. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, good morning, everybody. All right, thank you. So this is great to be back here. No rain, great weather, and I just want to echo what I call the fire chief my pilot because I'm her wingman. So I want to just echo what she said about the resiliency of this city. You know, it goes back years, and every time we have a challenge, we show the world what this city is made of. So I just want to say thank you to my public safety partners, fire department, Sheriff Miyamoto and his team. We have Deputy Chief Lazar and our team here. This is a great city, and we show the world how we do it. Resilience is San Francisco. So thank you and good morning.
All right, here we go, Chief. Hi, guys. All right, great. Thank you, Chief. Very photogenic there. That was a nice move you just made. Professional model right there. Okay, good. Well, this is good. We have more folks here that are really an integral part of what we're talking about this morning. And our next gentleman is the 37th Sheriff of San Francisco, first Asian American Sheriff in California history. Plus, he's a Lowell High School grad and a Cal guy. Wow. Maybe, can you play offensive tackle, Chief? Okay, we need a couple of those guys. Would you please welcome Sheriff Paul Miyamoto? Where is he? Right here? Which way is he? There you are. Good to see you.
Thanks, Bob.
Good to see you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Just a really quick note. I wouldn't want to dismiss my past other than saying I'm not actually a Cal graduate. I'm a Davis graduate, like our mayor, who's about to come up too. So I just want to say and echo what the chiefs have all said. We're here for you. We've always been and will always be. One thing I do want to point out is we can use your help. All of us in public safety have a need to fill the ranks, have a need to get more people interested in serving the community in the capacity as a firefighter, police officer, or deputy sheriff. So I'd ask for all of you to ask all of your friends, family, loved ones to continue the great service that we've provided over the years in public safety, and to ask all of your family and friends to consider a career in public service as well. But we're here now to celebrate, and I know there's other people coming up, so thank you very much for being here, and thank you for celebrating what resilience San Francisco is. Thank you.
Yay! Okay. Terrific. All right. Thank you very much, Sheriff. Now this is really where the rubber meets the road. This lady has been here since only 2018, but she's got 25 years experience in emergency management, which is what we're talking about. It's my pleasure now to welcome from the Department of Emergency Management the Executive Director, Mary Ellen Carroll. Oh, there you are. I don't know where anybody is. Take your time, too. We got to fill some time.
All right.
Stall.
Good morning, everyone. Every year we come here. By the way, I've been here since before 2018, but only in this job since then. But every year we come here to honor what happened in this city, to remember our resilience, but also remember that we live in earthquake country, and we have to be prepared for whatever is going to happen again. We have emerged, or we are emerging from COVID. The pandemic proved that San Francisco is a global leader in emergency response under the leadership of our mayor. We took the right actions early and at the right time, and here we are again, rising from a different kind of ashes. And it has just been an incredible honor of my life to be able to be in the city, to work for this mayor, and to lead all of us through what was unimaginable probably in our lifetime. So no matter what happens next in San Francisco, we know that we can get through. We now have hundreds, actually thousands of city employees who worked as disaster service workers who now understand what it is to stand up and respond to an emergency. And so I am more confident than ever that no matter what happens, no matter what befalls us here in the city, that we will be okay and that we will rise.
Thank you very much. A couple of quick introductions in my head. And now, Emperor Norton is here. Give Emperor Norton a hand. Where's he hanging out? Also, Lily Coit making an appearance, and Lola Montez. I don't know where she's from, but she's here. All right. A nice hand for those three, okay?
Good morning.
Okay.
A lot of Crabtree.
A lot of Crabtree is here, too. I know you were counting on that one. A lot of Crabtree. Okay. So right now it's my pleasure to introduce our current mayor. She's fantastic, actually. 45th mayor of San Francisco, the pride of Galileo High School, and also in a sorority called Delta Sigma Theta. I looked it up online. I just wanted to have a few more extra things to say. Would you please welcome your current mayor, doing a great job, London Breed, everybody. Mayor. Take your time. We're going to stall till 5:12. No, you'll be okay.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you to everyone who is joining us very, very early in the morning, because in San Francisco, as you all know, we take having fun very seriously. And I want to just acknowledge all the people who came dressed as though we are in 1906, including the ladies and gentlemen of decades of fashion who dressed me, because we take having fun seriously. But in all seriousness, San Francisco is such an amazing city. When I think about the challenges that our city has faced, not only in 1906, but 1989, and in fact, this global pandemic, something none of us could have ever anticipated, I am so proud and grateful to represent such an extraordinary and resilient city. Because when we made that unfortunate decision to shut down our city, it was unimaginable that a major city like San Francisco would need to take those serious steps. But guess what? It paid off. San Francisco was really the envy of the pandemic because our first responders, our emergency management and police and fire departments and others and city employees stepped up as disaster service workers, served this city, but more importantly, just like in the 1906 earthquake, we came together. We came together to look out for one another. We came together to support one another. Yeah, we got tired of one another every now and then, and we got tired of Zoom and all of those different meetings we had, but ultimately, what we saw was one of the lowest death rates in the country, although we're one of the densest cities. We're seeing one of the highest vaccination rates. We're seeing our city reopen and come alive again, and we are stepping up and putting back the pieces just like we did during 1906. This city, 80% of it burned. Over 3,000 people lost their lives. And I know there were probably people who were discouraged and felt, what do we do now? But I also know that there were more people who stepped up and said, let's rebuild. Let's make San Francisco better than it's ever been before. And as a result, we came back. Earthquake safety buildings and other changes. We learned from that earthquake what to do to make San Francisco more strong and resilient than ever before. And those same lessons continue to carry us to this very day. I want to again thank the first responders of this city and all the extraordinary work they do, Chief Nicholson, Chief Scott, Mary Ellen Carroll. Thank you to the guardians of the city. Thank you to many of our historians and the people who continue to come here time and time again to keep this alive, to make sure that although we may not have anyone still alive from the 1906 earthquake, this is a city that will still remember the past and what makes San Francisco so extraordinary and so amazing. And as probably everyone is thinking today, a reminder of how when we are down, we are not out, and we continue to rise stronger than ever before. Thank you all so much for being here this morning.
Beautiful. What a stud. Nice job. Mayor London. London, Nicole Breed, that's her middle name. Give her a nice hand. She's our mayor, for crying out loud. Yes, yes. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Thank you, Lee. I know what I'm doing. Thank you. Okay, good. All right. This year's Lotta's Fountain wreath will be dedicated to Ron Ross and Charlotte Schultz and the memories of all the San Franciscans who died 116 years ago and those who lived to rebuild San Francisco from the ashes. So now it's awfully close. I got another minute. Let's talk among ourselves. No, I'm just kidding. And now, ladies and gentlemen, even though we're maybe a minute or two, maybe less than 2 minutes, it's time for a little moment of silence to remember those who perished and those who survived to rebuild San Francisco. A moment of silence starting now. Thank you very much. Those Jakies figured it out perfectly, right? When I finished talking, they did it. Fantastic. A nice hand for the fire department here today. They do a great job. So I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now it has been the tradition that I'm told dates back to the earliest of commemorations here at Lotta's Fountain, and we will sing one of two official songs from the 1936 MGM motion picture San Francisco, where Jeanette MacDonald would make the self-titled song San Francisco forever associated with both our fair city and the 1906 Great Earthquake and Fire. Here to lead us will be Lily Hitchcock-Coit, known as Donna Ewald Huggins, and Cheryl Evans Davis, the Executive Director of the San Francisco Human Rights Commission. So come on up. Oh, yeah, it's time for a little singing. Here you go. Here you go.
It's a pleasure.
As usual.
You got the words?
I'm just standing next to you.
Oh, you're singing. Come on. Come on, Willie. Mayor Brown. Mayor Brown.
I got words. I got words.
Come on
I'm
up here.
helping you. Here we go.
Come on, Emperor Norton. Lotta. John. All right. Are you going to lead this off?
No, you are.
All right. Now, everybody remembers this. Now, this is my 48th year of coming here, so. And here's Carl Nolte over there. And Darlene, thank you for that beautiful column, Carl. And Mayor, you look just extraordinary. Really, beautiful job. All right, everybody ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. It only takes a tiny corner of this great big world to find a place we love. My home upon the hill. I know and I love you still. I've been away, but now I'm back to tell you, San Francisco, open your golden gate. We'll let no stranger wait outside my door. San Francisco, here is your wandering one, saying I'll wander no more. Other places only make me love you best. Tell me you're the heart of all the golden West. San Francisco, welcome me home again. I'm coming home to go wandering no more.
Yes.
Here's to Ron, Ross, and Charlotte.
Thank you. How about a nice hand of applause for Lily and Cheryl? I'm going to tell them. Thank you. And that wraps it up for this year's commemoration of the 1906 Great Earthquake and Fire. Give yourselves a round of applause, please. It was nice having you all here. And now, if you're so inclined, make your way up to the Golden Hydrant at 20th Street and Church Street, where the annual gilding of the fire hydrant that saved the Mission District will take place. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next year. Thanks very much.